Hey guys, I'm Justin Walter.
And I'm Kinga Phillips.
And this is Explore This on BEONDTV. And today we are talking about the Catalina Trail off the coast of Los Angeles, California.
And we're also going to talk about the amazing cruising that Justin has been doing the last few months.
I have been going on cruises even during the pandemic. And also, Kinga, I have never been to Hawaii. You have been there. I need to learn all about it. So I'm so excited to talk to you about Hawaii.
The big island.
But first, the Catalina Trail off the coast of Los Angeles in California. This is a location and destination that is in our backyard. And we have been waiting and trying to go there for years. How long have you been waiting and wanting to go?
Since I moved to Los Angeles in the early 2000s, I've wanted to do the Catalina Trail. So that was such an exciting treat for me to be able to do that.
We finally did it. So how long is the trail? And give kind of a background of what is actually the trail for people who have never heard about it.
So Catalina Island is just off the coast of Southern California. It's about 20 miles away from Los Angeles. You get there on the Catalina Express, which takes you to either Avalon or to Harbors. We went to Avalon.
We did.
And then the Catalina Trail is an amazing backpacking trail that the total is just under 40 miles.
Yeah.
If you start in Avalon, you go all the way to Parsons Landing, and then you loop back to 2 Harbors. So it is a great intro to people who are training for the PCT or longer trails or just standalone on its own. It is absolutely spectacular.
One thing that struck me, kind of an overview of the trail, is we both hiked all around the world.
Yeah.
The hiking here was world-class hiking and backpacking. The views were stunning. The wildlife was amazing. We have so much to talk about in terms of everything we saw and did. And one thing that we did differently than we normally do is the way we did it.
Yes.
We used a company called Catalina Backcountry, which actually is a service that either does gear haul for you, so all you have to do is hike with your backpack with food and water, or it also can even set up your campsites at the locations when you get there. This was bougie.
It was actually such a treat.
Yeah.
I remember us rolling into one of our campsites and one of the other backpackers walked by and goes, I can't help but notice how amazing your tent is. Did you carry that? And the answer is no.
No.
Because Catalina Backcountry will set everything up for you from your tent to your cots. They will take you shopping at the grocery store and then actually bring your food along with you. So this makes it such a great option for people who don't want to carry all of their gear, or they'll also do people transport, meaning that if you've got kids and maybe your parents that are coming with you and they're not able to do all of that hiking, you can send them along with Catalina Backcountry and they will be waiting for you at your setup campsite when you arrive.
I also love that it is a small business by 2 females.
Yeah.
It is a stepmother and her daughter, Lorena. So hi, Lorena. You guys should always hit her up if you want to work with the company. She had just such a good energy because she's a local to the island. So it was fun to learn about the island of Catalina through her perspective. And then every time we saw her either dropping off our camp or bringing us food, just such a positive energy and made the trip so much better to have that kind of relationship with a local on the island, which I loved.
She absolutely did. She told us about the buffalo on the island, about the Catalina
how many?
foxes.
Do you remember how many buffalo?
I believe the
Catalina?
herd they have now is about 120.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the truth behind it is these bison are on the island because they shot a movie on Catalina.
Yeah.
They left them there thinking that eventually they'll just die off, and they populated on Catalina.
They didn't just survive, they thrived.
So along the way when we were hiking, we were looking for bison and on the lookout the entire time. And on day 2, I think, day 2, we finally saw how many?
A herd of, I think, 20 something. It's pretty incredible.
It was pretty cool, right?
So we had the buffalo there. We had the Catalina Island foxes.
Yes.
We saw so many hawks, birds. It was beautiful.
When we saw our first fox, because we were always on the lookout for wildlife, you got so giddy, like a little girl on Christmas morning, and it was so fun to see you get excited about the wildlife.
So let's talk about the different campsites that we went to.
Okay, first up was Blackjack Campsite, which was on our first day. We hiked about 11 miles that day.
Mm-hmm.
So from Avalon to Blackjack Campsite, when we walked in, there was nobody there. So that's one thing to note about the best time to go to do the Catalina Trail. I would say the shoulder season, either in the fall time or the springtime, because in the summer it would be really, really hot, right?
I actually think it would be unbearable because there's no shade on the hike.
Yeah.
So definitely consider that. Ours was mid 50s, low 60s, and it was perfect hiking weather.
So that first campsite we went to, like we said, we arrived to our campsite fully set up by Catalina Backcountry, which was amazing. And it was a good campsite. It was inland. There was no water around, but it was a well-maintained site. There's bathrooms. There's ability to shower. There's a bunch of campsites in enough space. So I enjoyed it. What'd you think of it?
I loved it, and they also had potable water.
Yes.
So you only have to carry the water that you need for the hike during the day, and then the water is provided in the campgrounds.
Yeah.
So then from there, that morning we got up,
Yeah.
we went and had breakfast at the Airport in the Sky, which is the private airport on Catalina, and you can hike to that, get some breakfast burritos.
And you fly often over Catalina, so you guys stopped there. So it was great to have Kinga as my insider showing me what to eat at the restaurant, where to go, where I probably wouldn't have even stopped if I weren't with you, which was a good tip.
Great little spot. And then we made it to our second campground.
Campsite, which was Little Harbor. Little Harbor. So tell us about Little Harbor, what you thought of, describe it when we were walking down that hill and looking at Little Harbor.
So you descend one of the many hills that you will be climbing, and you walk into this gorgeous Little Harbor. Now, Little Harbor has been called one of the most scenic campgrounds on the West Coast, and it absolutely does. On a great day, the sunsets there will knock your socks off.
Oh my gosh.
It is beautifully set right on the water. It's not crowded. It's not a huge campsite. There's also Shark Harbor right next to it, which offers 2 or 3 spots. Now, the big tip that I think we should give people is that in order to book the Catalina Trail, you have to pre-book your campsites. You can't just camp off-grid, and those campsites go fast. So people usually book a couple months in advance, and how can they do that?
Yeah, you go to Visit Catalina. The Catalina Island company is where you book the actual campsites, and if you want to use the service where you have your campsite set up, or the gear haul service, that's separate from the campsites. So you definitely want to go to Visit Catalina, the Catalina Island company, to book your campsites. Like Kinga said, we cannot stress enough, book them in advance. These prime spots on the beach and on the water will book up months in advance. And even when we were at that location, there's obviously the beach, and then we went on a little hike. It felt like we were in a prehistoric time. We were like, when are the dinosaurs gonna pop out in the sky or in the water? We're actually in the water. We saw, what did we see? A seal eating an octopus?
We did. We saw a sea lion eating an octopus, and you saw a leopard shark.
And I saw a leopard shark. So our shark people right here saw a leopard shark, and it was stunning. It was stunning. And our third campsite, Kinga, maybe my favorite. Well, your favorite place in Catalina.
But first, tell us about the hike to get to Two Harbors.
So day 3, where Kinga and I, we did Avalon to Two Harbors. We did not do the loop after, which was the Parsons Loop, which we can talk about later. But day 3 was one of the best, most epic days of hiking I've ever experienced in my life.
Ditto.
I have hiked all over the world. Day 3 on the Catalina Trail, mind-blowing. Ditto for you?
I would say it is so mind-blowing, in fact, that I'm just gonna pull up this little video because it's my favorite.
Okay, yes.
Do you remember this?
Yes, so this is on day 3. You were hiking ahead of me, so you saw the viewpoint before I did, and when you turned around with your camera, I knew it was gonna be mind-blowing or something crazy was ahead. And when I was approaching that cliff, Kinga, I cannot tell you how awestruck and look, I'm going crazy. I couldn't believe that my eyes were seeing this view. The cliffs, the clouds, the sky, the sea, the land. It was so gorgeous.
That was one of my favorite moments, because the moments of awe on that hike with the drop-offs and then the ocean in front of us were truly, truly spectacular.
I could not believe that this was a location in our backyard in Los Angeles, a 60-minute boat ride, and then an adventurous, amazing hike, and that we have this access to this location whenever we want to go.
Anytime.
It is, I have been recommending it so much, and that moment of awe is something I will remember for the rest of my life.
Me too.
It was so good. So then after that, we get to your favorite part of Catalina, Two Harbors.
So there is a Two Harbors Overlook,
Yeah.
which is one of my favorite hikes in all of Catalina. It is absolutely stunning. One of my favorite spots in the world for sunset, I would even say. When you and your friend are on top of the world. Thank you, Catalina.
The Cat Harbor Overlook, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, what did I call
In
it?
Two Harbors. No, Two Harbors. The
Oh,
Cat
sorry.
Harbor Overlook.
Harbor Overlook is
Yeah.
one of my favorite hikes in all of Catalina.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I would say anywhere in the world that I've ever hiked. For sunset, it is a primo spot.
Oh.
And then a huge benefit of that is that you just walk down the hill into Two Harbors and walk right into the restaurant. and you can eat an amazing meal there, which we did.
And buffalo milk, drink some buffalo milk. Was that what the drink was called?
Yep, that was it.
I'll let you look it up and order it at the restaurant. I'm not gonna tell you what it is, buffalo milk. You have to try it.
It was delicious. And then we got to our campsite at Two Harbors, and that was another spectacular location.
And I would recommend trying to book campsite number 11. That is the site we had. We had an amazing view. It's a little perched on a little bit of a hill away from the other campsites. You can build fires. And our first campsite, we could not build a fire. The second two, we could.
Yeah.
Having that fire, cheersing with that champagne. It was such a successful trip on hiking the Catalina Trail that I am so happy we were able to experience that together.
We did.
And the adventure didn't end because, yes, we could have taken the Catalina Express ferry back to Los Angeles, but we decided to do something a little different. Wow. And we went with IEX Helicopters, which we were ballers. We waited in the middle of a field to get picked up by a helicopter to bring us back to Los Angeles. So tell us about what you think of our helicopter ride.
It is one of the most scenic ways to see Catalina. It is also very quick access back to the mainland. Basically, they hopped us over to Avalon. We picked up 2 more passengers, and then in about 8 minutes, we were over to Long Beach. So that is.
And we saw wildlife.
We saw whales. We saw dolphins. We flew low over the water. It was beautiful. It was fast. It's a great way to get back and forth from Catalina.
And one thing that company offers that is really cool that we didn't do, but I would highly look into and recommend is HeliHiking, which you can, from Santa Monica, from Los Angeles, from Orange County, from Avalon, you can take a helicopter ride where they drop you in a remote spot on Catalina Island, and then you have to hike back to civilization.
Ooh.
So if you've ever seen like a Bear Grylls show, you can literally have your own Bear Grylls show without Bear Grylls. If you want a Bear Grylls, I or Kinga will join you, and we can, give you that experience if you'd like that. But HeliHiking is something I would also kind of look into and recommend with that company, it was awesome.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I would toast a big glass of buffalo milk to the Catalina Trail right now because it was a wonderful experience. So
I cannot wait to go back and do, like we didn't mention, Parsons Loop. So we did from Avalon to Two Harbors. There is another loop where you can go further into the island. We didn't have enough time, but we still, we promised each other and ourselves we will go back to do that part of the Catalina Trail.
We will.
Yeah. Cheers to an amazing trip.
Buffalo milk to
Buffalo milk,
Catalina
let's
Trail.
do it.
Yeah, we're like dogs.
Ready?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's awesome.
So Justin, I have been to Alaska and I love Alaska, but I have never done Alaska like you did Alaska.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I took an Alaskan cruise on the Norwegian cruise line, and I did a week-long trip where we had ports at Icy Strait, Juneau, Ketchikan, and we took a day through Glacier Bay. I have been on about 7 cruises now, and seeing Alaska from a cruise is, I would say, a good way to do Alaska. Even during the pandemic, I think a lot of people are scared to go on cruises. So I've been on 2 cruises, one in Alaska and one in Europe. So I am a proponent of cruises because what people aren't realizing is they are implementing a lot of COVID precautions and rules. Everyone has to be vaccinated to get on the ship.
Right.
You have to take tests at the port to get on. And on the Norwegian cruise line, masks were optional because of the vaccination. On the other one I went on Celebrity Cruises, everyone wore masks unless you're outdoors. So when we were indoors, everyone had a mask on. So during the pandemic, cruises are still happening, and they are doing the best they can to make sure everyone feels safe, and they're trying to get it back going. Yes.
That is terrific to know.
In Alaska, one of the best things we did was we took a helicopter ride to 2 glaciers. And as you saw in the video, we were licking glacier water from a glacier. So it was a lot of fun to do that. The water was the freshest, cleanest water I've had besides doing that in Patagonia. And we had a blast. That was one of the excursions we did. Another thing we did was ATV riding.
Okay, ready?
Yeah. And then we had a good time kayaking as well.
Amazing. Well, tell me about cruise life. What are the highlights of taking a cruise?
Okay.
What are the benefits of taking a cruise? I have never been on a cruise in my life, so I lean to you.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things about going on a cruise, wherever it is, it's a choose your own adventure. Huh? There are so many options of what you can do, whether you're at a port or whether you're on the ship, and you get to decide what you want to do, when you want to do it, and how you want to do it. If you want to go do an excursion that the cruise offers, you can do that. If you want to find your own excursion and go through a company that you find on TripAdvisor or through friends or family, you can do that. If you want to stay on the ship and have fun doing activities at the pool or playing games at the casino or whatever it is, cruises, I describe them as almost like a floating utopian society and city where and you can eat as much food as you want.
I like that.
You know, that is the thing. All you can eat. The food typically is pretty good. There's great entertainment. So there's just so much to do on cruises. And you know, I did go on a cruise specifically the last couple of months in Europe, where I went from Athens, Greece to Santorini, to then Sicily, to then Majorca, Spain, to then ending in Valencia and Barcelona. And let me tell you, getting a sampler of those European ports for someone who has never been to Europe would be a great way to say, I like this place, I want to go back.
Oh, great. So it's a sampler platter. I like that.
I would say a cruise to, Europe is more like an appetizer. It's going to show you what the different countries are like, how you might want to go back and explore those locations and destinations. And it's a lot of fun. In Santorini, we rented ATV bikes. I asked on social media the best way to get around Santorini. Everyone said ATVs. Here we go. Santorini! And rode around the island exploring the streets, and then walked around, those beautiful streets and pathways in Santorini with the white buildings and the blue, blue tops, which is so iconic of Santorini. And then in Majorca, we decided, we don't want to do an excursion. I found us a beautiful turquoise beach, colored water beach, where we just spent the day sitting at a beach for the day. And then on that ship, it was a celebrity cruise, Apex. The ship is my favorite, I think, ship I've ever been on.
The Apex.
The Apex.
Ooh,
the Apex.
like that.
The Apex. It is a modern ship that was actually, I believe, just done in 2019 or early 2020s, and it hasn't been sailed a lot because of the pandemic. So the ship itself, modern facilities, great dining options, the outdoor pool deck is amazing. I had a blast. I enjoy cruises. I like going on cruises. Like I've said, I've been on, I think, 7 of them now, and I can't tell you I've had one bad cruise experience.
Well, you have almost sold me on cruising. You had me at delicious food.
Let me tell you, if I got you on a cruise, I would make sure and guarantee you would have fun. It is, like I said, your parents have cruised a lot. They did. They did go cruising a lot. A lot of people think that cruises are typically for elderly people or for people that just got married. What are your parents, they said?
My parents say it's newlywed or nearly dead.
Oh, so yes, that is a common connotation for cruises. But let me tell you, I'm in my 30s. I did it in my 20s. If you have a good group of people, a cruise experience will be a blast. And I cannot recommend, trying something new. I love travel experiences of any kind and any type. And a cruise experience is one I think everyone should try at least once.
All right, Justin. Well, I may be sold on the cruise experience, but I'm glad you had such a great time.
I would
images are
recommend
incredible.
the Caribbean for you as a way to pop around the islands of the Caribbean, go, spearfishing, diving, whatever you want to do in the water, and it might be a good trip for you.
Well, let's leave everyone out there with one more amazing video of Justin on a cruise.
Day at sea, and we are getting a massage. Look at how beautiful this spa is. So I have a confession.
Ooh.
I have been to now over 50 countries all around the world.
Impressive.
I have never been to Hawaii, Kinga.
Justin!
I live in Los Angeles. It is a simple flight to get to Hawaii, and everyone is shocked and says you have to go to Hawaii. So I'm gonna challenge you to share with me about your recent travels to Hawaii to hopefully inspire me to book a trip to Hawaii soon. So you were recently there.
We will not hopefully inspire you. You will be booking a flight by the time this is over. You might want to grab your phone and actually book a flight while I'm talking.
So where were you recently in Hawaii?
So I was recently on the Big Island,
Okay.
and I have been to all of the Hawaiian Islands now.
Okay.
I have my favorites. I
Okay,
love
all
Kauai, and I love the Big Island.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Because both Oahu and Maui, which are the islands that most people go to, are stunning. I love the North Shore of Oahu.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful shark dive out there. I love Maui. I love the road to Hana, but they are a lot more touristy.
Got it.
Gorgeous, spectacular, absolutely should be on everyone's list. They are more touristy. For people like me, and I know you as well.
Off the beaten track
Off
and
the beaten
path.
track.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's where you want to go.
Exactly. And Kauai is that island. They call it the Garden Isle. It is beautiful and lush and spectacular.
Yeah.
And I had never been to the Big Island
Okay.
until just maybe about a month and a half ago.
So what surprised you the most when you finally stepped foot there and explored a little bit?
Well, it's big.
That's why they call it the Big Island.
They call it the Big Island, and it is spectacular. It offers a lot of variety. So you fly into Kona Kailua, and then I crossed over and got myself an Airbnb on the Hilo side.
So do you recommend Airbnb over like hotels?
You know,
in there,
it is
or?
honestly a preference. I do love Airbnb because I feel like there's a sense of immersion there. It's also very often more affordable. There are great hotels on the Big Island, any of the islands.
Yeah.
I do enjoy Airbnb as well.
Okay.
And I had found a little Airbnb that was actually on an old lava flow.
Oh
so
my
it was
gosh.
this lovely little space,
Ugh.
and it was on this black field of lava.
Wow.
So in the morning, we would get up and walk around with our coffee and just walk along and watching the sunrise over this lava flow. So it is a
No
very
big deal.
No big deal. No big deal. Big Island is a living, breathing, live island. So Kilauea, the volcano on the Big Island, is one of the most active volcanoes in the world. And we got lucky because there was an active eruption while we were there.
No.
Meaning that you go to Volcanoes National Park and you can actually look into the caldera and see the lava boiling
Okay,
up.
so this was your first time ever seeing an active volcano.
Yes.
You've seen a lot in your travels and in your life. Describe to me the feeling of what it was like seeing an active volcano.
That is a great question because I ponder that in my mind as I obsessed over magma and lava and noted the difference between the two. Magma is when it is still in the caldera, lava is when it pours out. It is like watching our planet form itself.
Oh
It is
gosh.
absolutely spectacular. You
Yeah.
are part of the
Yeah.
process of creation of our planet. So that was extraordinary. You got an Airbnb right there. Saw the lava, were so marveled by it. So we marveled at it so much that we actually went back twice to see it. You want to get there while it's still dark out so you can see the glow of the lava. Amazing.
Cool.
And then we went back to Kona Kailua
Okay.
and we went out on a boat and we did some diving.
Wait, Kinga, you went diving?
I know.
would never have guessed
I
that.
The water is 80 degrees. It is beautiful. It is clear.
No
it is blue. It
wetsuit
is why
needed.
people go to Hawaii.
Yes.
We had dolphins come to see us. There were whales out there. It is absolutely magnificent.
So, you know, you've been all around the world diving. How did it compare?
The water in Hawaii is some of the clearest, most beautiful, warm, spectacular water. There is big wildlife out there. You can go out, you can look for whales depending on the season. You can look for sharks, which we both love.
Yeah.
You can look for dolphins. It is paradise for divers. So
gosh.
Justin, what do you think?
Am I gonna go to Hawaii? Yes, I'm gonna go. Are you gonna come with me? That's the question.
I will come be your tour guide in Hawaii anytime.
Done.
Anytime.
You've inspired me to want to go to Hawaii. After this is over, I'm gonna book a flight soon, hopefully. And you know, it's interesting because I often find that when I'm traveling internationally, I realize that I need to do more in the US. I need to explore more in the US, and trips like Hawaii or even what we did Catalina Trail together.
Yeah.
There are so many beautiful destinations right here in the United States that we don't have to always jet set halfway across the world.
And guess what?
Yeah.
You can take a cruise to Hawaii.
I don't know. I am gonna choose not to take a cruise to Hawaii. I'll leave that for some other people, but yeah, I'll fly there and then explore, you know, by boat, car, bike, whatever it is. So
As you should.
thank you for inspiring me and hopefully a lot of other people to book their trip to Hawaii.
So Justin, thank you for all of your insights.
Yes, you
and
as well.
thank you for joining us on this episode of Explore This. We did some pretty awesome stuff.
I mean, the Catalina Trail, cruising in Alaska and Europe and Hawaii. We circled the globe and so many amazing awe moments and adventures.
We did. Hope
is.
you guys were inspired.
Yes.